My mom and dad used to always say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Such great advice. Such great advice. And I'm going to talk about this today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jan. Welcome to another episode on this channel, the Save Money More Jen channel. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. I want to mention to you money saving habits during the recent shutdown. Talking about, in my case, I was not affected at all whatsoever, other than tuning into the daily dog and pony show updates, which was really the same mishmash for a good number of weeks, in my opinion. That's how I feel. What could I say? Anyway, glad it's over, but hopefully we're not going to get another one. Let me tell you why it went so smoothly for me. I'll tell you why. I smelled trouble on the horizon in September. We've been down this road before, have we not? It just seemed a little differently this time that I said, no, they're going to roll into it and it's not going to be a short one. And my instincts were absolutely correct. So, how does this affect your shopping? I'll tell you how. I made sure I stocked up. I double checked. What did I do stocking up? And I also did some cooking methods, which really had me not touch much of the stuff that I even purchased. I'll get into that in about a minute. But if you smell trouble down the horizon, whether it's weather related, whether it's even government related, whatever, we don't know about the storms in life, but sometimes we may get a few hints, like it may be very cloudy, or there's the feeling of snow in the air. Time to turn on the news and check the weather report, okay? Whether it's actual weather like snow, rain, floods, and all that, or checking the climate of what could happen. So my instincts were very correct. I'm very happy that I did that because you never know what happens. I don't know what might have happened in terms of supplies, demands, this, and that. I wanted to be ready. And thankfully, I was. In addition to stocking up and the decent planning of the foods, what I also did was every week, now that it's chilly, I take advantage. Okay. So every week during the shutdown, what I did was I made a big old pot of either or stew or soup. Okay. Yes, I did. And I had those things a number of times during the week. I didn't want to touch any of the extra stuff that I purchased. And I was successful at it. I was so successful at it that it ran into the middle of November, the things that I purchased. I didn't purchase much of anything from the end of September till the middle of November. That's pretty darn good. So I did a really good 6-week stretch. I'm not bragging, I'm explaining. This is a good method, whether there's a problem with a shutdown or no shutdown. While the weather is chilly, and if you enjoy soups and stews, I happen to, okay? So in my case, I lucked out. I also changed up on my side dishes with the soup or the stew, so it wasn't identical every single day, okay? It was not an identical thing every single day. In fact, the first part of the shutdown, I just was cleaning out my refrigerator. So I got a whole week of soup from just cleaning out my refrigerator on the Friday before the probable shutdown, which did happen. I was already ready. So I realized something that with a little bit of careful planning, ahead, like especially if you have like a tight grocery budget, many people do. This method works. Make a big old pot of something that you enjoy, whether it's beans, whether it's potatoes, whether it's do what our wonderful ancestors would have done. And that's another thing that had occurred to me. At that time, I was watching like a ton of the Great Depression era stuff, okay? And I asked myself, well, I smell trouble here on the horizon. And unfortunately, I was right, okay? So I said, well, what could I do? What did they do? I asked myself, well, what did they do? They made big pots of things and they kept it going and going. I actually couldn't even believe myself how long everything kept going and going. And the trick was, I had this little game I was playing in my mind's eye that I didn't want to touch the stuff that I had kept so carefully, thinking, I don't know how long this thing is going to go. And weeks went by. Okay, I figured at least 1 or 2 weeks, guaranteed, right? And we went through them. But then we started to hit week 3. Then we started to hit week 4. And I'm thinking of all the people that I was praying for that was starting to get, it really directly affected them, like not in a great way. And some of the people we hear about them in the news, or could be even neighbors of yours or whatever, that had to, find some food and stuff like that, the food pantries, etc., and so on. In general, in life, if you smell trouble on the horizon, stock up. In general, in life, even if you do not smell trouble on the horizon, pretend as if you do. And that was extremely helpful to me. So one day, for the fun of it, I said, I want to know what is this thing, creamy peas over toast. I saw this recipe on a video of the Great Depression. This was a Great Depression meal. So all you needed was a little tiny can of peas. Okay, you drain them out. And then all you do is make a roux, with the flour and the butter and the milk, very simple, easy peasy. Most people always have those ingredients. And by the way, I highly recommend you always keep some type of shelf stable milk around, just for the record, just saying. So anyway, so I decided I happen to have some nice bread. I toasted up the bread. I made the roux. I heated through the little, drained can of peas. And I said, well, what is this stuff that perhaps grandma or great grandma might have eaten? And I tasted it. It was great. It was, sorry to say the pun, easy peasy. It was really, really good. So you could take basic stuff you have. You got bread, got flour, got a little butter, right? Got a little milk, got a small can of peas. You could make a whole bunch of that. It stretches. It was really, really good. I had to put like half of it back, and then the next day, all I did was reheat it and throw it over some toast again. So there are ways and there are ways. Anything and everything I did during and throughout the shutdown was to not touch the extra stuff I had stocked up on. And when the shutdown ended a couple of weeks back, then I started to use some of the stuff that I had purchased at the end of September. Then I said, well, it is now the middle of November at that point when I made that decision. I said, you better get some more stuff. Got Thanksgiving around the corner and all this and all that, and time for replenishment. There's times to save and there's times to replenish. But I'm telling you, looking back, that was a great thing. Keep frozen bags of frozen fruits and frozen vegetables available. They are great. You can work with it as you go along. Take as much out or as little out as you need. Great for crock pot meals and those soups and stews. And during the winter time, if you can't get some fresh fruit for whatever the reason, canned fruit always comes in handy. One day I had like an intense craving for a summer peach. Well, summer is now a long distant memory, but then I remembered, aha, go to your stockpile. You have your can of peaches in very light syrup. And it hit the spot. I was just so happy having my can of light syrup peaches. So keep these things in mind. I just thought I'd pass along some money saving habits during the recent shutdown. I was not affected at all, but I pray for those who were affected. And if this thing happens again, or a different scenario, it doesn't have to be that scenario. When we smell trouble on the horizon, there are times you're never going to know because usually emergencies do not announce themselves with an invitation. But in this case, we were blessed with a forethought.